Hi everybody, Chris here. How are you doing? Welcome back to the Excel Helpdesk. Yes, this is the place to get answers to your questions about Excel, processes around Excel. I'm spending so long in spreadsheets. Surely there's a better way. Anything spreadsheet related, you can ask in the Excel Helpdesk. If you're watching live, a big welcome to you. If you could tell me you can see me and hear me, there's always a bit of anxiety about that in a live session. That would be fantastic. You can put your questions in the chat. I will track the chat as we go, and you can join me live in the stream. Yes, in the video description below, if you watch on YouTube, you'll find a link. You can follow that link into our studio. Just make sure there's no children around. Make sure you're in a quiet place. You can join me live in the stream. We can discuss whatever matters to you in terms of Excel. And if you're watching on replay or listening on the podcast, that's exciting. Thank you so much. A big welcome. And you can click through this stream. There'll be timestamps as usual on YouTube. You can click through these and find something that's useful to you. So a big welcome to the Excel Helpdesk. And what are we doing today? Well, it's a special edition of the Excel Helpdesk because we are getting into Copilot. Yes, we're getting into Copilot today, and this is Excel Guy versus AI. This is the title of the stream. So there's a lot of hype about AI tools generally, a lot of hype about Copilot. What's your experience with Copilot in Excel? Have you tried Copilot in Excel? You must be curious about Copilot in Excel. So you're going to find out all about it on this stream. I just flashed up the agenda then. We've got 5 tasks that we're going to work through, starting with creating a VLOOKUP formula. I've got download files prepared. They're all from our YouTube videos. So you can go ahead, download the files if you want to. The link is in the video description below. That will take you to the video. And underneath the video, you'll be able to find the download files. You can download the files yourself, have a play with them, and see if you can do a better job than Copilot does. How's it going to be with Copilot? I'm not sure. I've done a little bit of preparation. I've done some work already. I've done lots of work with AI tools generally, particularly in the context of Excel and things like Power Automate, Office Script, things like that. I've done some work with Copilot. We're going to go deep into it in this stream. We're going to find what Copilot's good at, what Copilot will do, what Copilot won't do. And ultimately, am I going to be unemployed? Am I going to be unemployed at the end of this stream? We're going to dig into all that. And it's not all bad news. It's not all bad news for professionals like you and me who are kind of doing analytical work. In fact, I think basically AI tools are good news for people like you and me. We're going to get there during this stream. So this is what we're going to follow. At the same time, it's a normal Excel help desk. I've got some questions to get through. And as I said, you're very welcome to put, I'm sorry, I keep flashing that graphic up. You're very welcome to put your questions in the chat. Let's see who's with us before we get going. Jim is with us. How are you doing, Jim? A big welcome to you. And G35B says, Chris beats Copilot hands down. I appreciate that. We're going to see. We're going to see what happens. Jim says, you can hear me. Thank you. Monica is with us. How are you doing? Monica, and G35B says, not Copilot, but good old ChatGPT has helped me. Yeah, this would be a good starting point, I think, for getting into Copilot, because what's the difference between Copilot and whatever AI tool you're probably using? Some that come to mind are ChatGPT. A lot of people are familiar with that. Personally, I'm using Gemini, which is the Google AI tool, because our company, we use the Google tools for email and scheduling and things like that. So we have access to Gemini. And yeah, I am using Gemini extensively for all kinds of things. Some things directly related to work. It's great for looking through your inbox. For example, today I wanted to see a quote I gave to a customer via email. And I just asked Gemini, I said, can you find the email where I give the quote to this customer? And Gemini was very good at doing that. And then more general stuff as well, more general stuff. So for example, recently, I've just upgraded the tech setup here, and I did the whole thing in conversation with Gemini, with an AI tool. What's the best computer? I could go and research that, couldn't I? But with PCs, there's so many different things to think about. You've got your processor, you've got your memory. So that kind of thing, I've found AI to be incredibly useful for. So that's the kind of thing I've been using AI for. And Copilot is the AI tool specifically in Excel and specifically in Microsoft Office. And let's get our slide up here. Copilot Basics, it might not be available to you. It's not automatically available as far as I know, because yes, you can see the second bullet point here. You have to pay for it. You do have to pay for it. I'm paying about £20 a month at the moment. Not sure whether I will retain it, because as we'll find out, I'm not really using it a huge amount in Excel, but my view might change today. If we look at the top basic function, Copilot can do Excel jobs for you. We've got 5 Excel jobs we're going to try to work through today. You tell it what you need, it attempts to implement it. And as I've said on the slide, what jobs can Copilot do? What jobs can't it do? And how well can it actually do those jobs? As I said, you do need a special subscription or some kind of subscription to get this. You can ask an AI tool, of course, what subscription would I need to get Copilot? But you can go ahead, go to the Microsoft website. A Google search will allow you to understand which plan you need. And just a practical thing to get started. It insists on your file being auto-saved, which I've just discovered the past few days, really. It does insist that your file is auto-saved. And for me, and you'll have to tell me if you've got a different experience of this, but for me, it seems to insist that your file is auto-saved into the cloud. Yeah, so it's not just auto-saved, it's actually auto-saved into the cloud. Okay, so our first task today is going to be VLOOKUP. So we've got our task here. And with our 5 tasks, we've got a full tutorial video to show you how I went about this task. I'm going to do, at least some of them I'll actually do in this session. But we've got a complete video about each of these tasks. So the first one is creating a VLOOKUP formula, and the link to the video is in the video description below. And below the actual video, you'll be able to find the download files if you want to actually work along with me, of course. So before we get into VLOOKUP, let me know in the comments your thoughts about VLOOKUP. Are you a VLOOKUP god? Have you given up on VLOOKUP because you're using XLOOKUP now? Are you a match and offset person? Let me know in the comments. But I just want to say hi to Michelle. Michelle chipping in with $5. Very much appreciate that, Michelle. And how have you been? Long-time support of the channel, Michelle. I reckon about 8 years. And Michelle says, good morning, everyone. Glad to see Chris live on my birthday eve. So a big happy birthday to Michelle. Congratulations. And it's always great to have you with us. Okay, so we've got our data here. So I've got some dog walking data. Over on the left, we've got a walk code, and then we've got the details of that walk. So we've got the dog's name that we walked. We've got the date. We've got the day. And we've got various other bits and pieces. Now, this file is inspired by, we have a dog walker, walks our dog twice a week. And she sends us, this is our previous dog walker, by the way, in case our current dog walker is actually watching, our previous dog walker, she sends us a spreadsheet every month. Not an actual spreadsheet, but she sends us a picture of a spreadsheet. And on that spreadsheet are details of the walks she's done for us, the dates, the times. And every time she sends that to me, I think, my goodness, it must have taken a long time to put that together. And I never got around to addressing this with her. It might have been quite annoying for her if I tried to address this with her, maybe. But there's so many easier ways to do it in Excel than simply writing out the things that you want to put on an invoice, of course, as we know. So this led me to create this data set and to do a video on the VLOOKUP formula. The link's in the video description below. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. So we want to look up the walk code. And the question is, for a particular walk code, we can see the walk codes in column C here. What's the dog name? What's the name of the dog that's associated with that walk code? And we can see if we go down the data set. You wouldn't want to have to be scrolling down the data set to find the information every time. That's the whole point of VLOOKUP. Who else is with us in the chat today? Charles is with us. Good afternoon, Chris. Actually have a break when you are live for once. Yeah, good thinking. It's hard work. It's intense, but I also enjoy it. And got to try to keep the punters happy, haven't we, Charles? You can't go having breaks, unfortunately, on YouTube. Anyway, it's all good. Right, so let's go VLOOKUP here. VLOOKUP. So the value we want to look up is, in fact, we want to input a value into this walk code cell, of course. So you know what? Let's go for an early challenge for Copilot. So I've got Copilot over on the right here. If you don't have the plan that gives you Copilot, you won't have the Copilot symbol there. Took me a while to work that out. Took me a few Google searches to work that out. And you may have to, you kind of have to reinstall Excel. It's not actually reinstalling Excel. It's something like reinitiating your license or something. Anyway, I had to jump through a few hoops in order to get Copilot to appear. Anyway, Copilot's here. Now, one thing that just came to mind is I'd like to put a drop-down menu in here. And the drop-down menu is going to show us, is going to allow us to choose easily from these walk codes. So I'm just wondering, could Copilot do this for us? So could you put a drop-down menu in cell H4 to display so I can easily choose from the walk codes. Can easily choose from the walk codes. What do you think? Let's see. Let's see what Copilot says. Can you put a drop-down menu in for us? I have a suspicion it's going to say no, but let's see. Okay, to add a drop-down menu, it's given me instructions to add it. Okay, could you add that yourself? Could you add that to the spreadsheet? You know, rather than me doing it myself, might that be possible? It's funny with AI tools, it's always a question of how do you address them? How polite are you with your AI tools? I try to be polite. So that's a bit disappointing. It says, I am unable to add a drop-down menu to cell H4 for selecting walk codes. It doesn't say why. So that's a little bit disappointing. I think, okay, here we go. We do have an explanation. I can't make changes directly, but here's how you can add a drop-down menu in cell. Come on, this is not what I'm paying my $20 a month for, to have to do it myself. So yeah, what I've found with Copilot is it doesn't seem, or sometimes it hesitates to make direct changes to your spreadsheet. Rather than adjusting what you've done, it will create something new. So it will create something on a new sheet. And we'll see when we get to our formatting task, it's not going to change your work. I don't know why that is, because it would be really helpful if it could just create a drop-down menu there. I'm not sure. And there's this notification as well that you always get. This little message, AI generated content may be incorrect. Okay, this gives me hope. This gives me hope as a kind of Excel developer. So whatever AI does, we get this disclaimer that it's incorrect. Okay, so it's kind of all on us, isn't it? You know, we can choose whether we use it or not, but we'd like some kind of assurance that it is correct, or at least they're trying to make it correct. I don't know. Anyway, it's worth pointing out that disclaimer. You know, it's definitely our responsibility, whatever we do, whether we want to take the AI recommendation or not. So I'm going to go ahead, Alt-AVV on the Windows PC. Going to go to List and then Control-Shift down here. That's going to give us a nice drop-down menu. Didn't take too long. So I'm going to say that's 1-0 to me. Who's going to keep score in the chat here? So I think that's 1-0 to the human, to the Excel guy, because I can actually put a drop-down menu in. What do you think? And we have got a poll in the chat. If you're watching on YouTube, we've got a poll in the chat. You can predict who's going to win the AI versus Excel guy face-off. And when I looked just a second ago, it was actually quite favorable for me. We're going to see. So the dog name cell, this is where we want a VLOOKUP formula. So now I'm thinking Copilot's going to say, I'm not going to do that for you, because I suspect it won't make changes to the spreadsheet in the same way it wouldn't implement a drop-down menu. Let's see. So let's ask nice and politely again. Could you put a VLOOKUP formula in cell I4 to display the dog's name for the walk code in cell H4. There we go, question mark. Nice and polite. I think you've got to be polite with your AI tools because you never know how sophisticated they're going to get. Are they going to come back and get you one day and remind you that you once treated an AI tool badly? Who knows? Anyway, I tend to be polite with my AI tools. Let me know in the chat. How are you using AI tools? I know, Monica, if you're still watching, I know you've definitely used AI tools and Chat GPT. So let me know. Okay, Copilot says, sure, enter this formula in cell L4 to display the doctor's name. And the formula looks good. So we could put that in. I'm going to ask Copilot again, could you put it in for me? The formula that is. Let's see, I think generating formula suggestions. Okay, let's see. Here's the formula you should enter. Okay, yeah. So Copilot is not going to put the formula in, but the formula to me looks perfectly fine, looks accurate. C to D. Yeah, I'm going to copy this, paste it in, Control V here. There we go. Walk 1 is Frodo. Let's test this. Walk 6 is also Frodo. So we'd have to go to walk. Let's go to walk 20 and see if Kuda's name comes up. Walk 20. There we go. And Kuda. Yeah. So that's how VLOOKUP works. You know, seems to work fine. Right. But I think that's 1-0 to the Excel guy. What do you think? Yeah, you could. Perhaps you'll be happy just copying the formula in yourself. I don't know. It seems like another step that I would expect an AI tool to be able to make those changes to the spreadsheet. And I'm interested in why it doesn't, even if you give very explicit permission, as I just did, I'm interested into why it won't make those changes to the spreadsheet. Right. If you've got Copilot loaded in and active, you'll have this Copilot symbol. When you click on a cell, you've got this Copilot symbol. You're going to get some suggestions here. I don't know a huge amount about this, but I did like this teach me something about Excel option, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, I tried this earlier and it suggested the filter formula, which, you know, very, very solid suggestion. You could put the filter formula in and allow you to use data for a particular dog in this case. Try conditional formatting. It lets you automatically highlight cells based on their values. Okay, to highlight high fees in your table. Okay, shows. I mean, I do like that. So you could have a conversation with Copilot as you would with any other AI tool, and it's kind of a learning conversation. Give me a bit of information, have a follow-up question. I was encouraged by this. You know, I hadn't initially thought this would be a benefit of Copilot, but yeah, it's nice. You know, we're all about Excel learning on this channel, and this would be a great way to learn Excel. Okay, but that suggestion, you know, is not particularly exciting. And once again, I'm sure if I said, could you implement the conditional formatting for me? Copilot would say, I'm not going to do that. So I find that a bit of a limitation. Very good. Okay. Let's go back into the chat for a second. Right. So can't see any new comments at the moment, but all good. So yeah, let me know what you think. So I think that's 1-0 to the Excel guy, talking about the VLOOKUP job, because Copilot kind of said, yeah, I'm not going to put the VLOOKUP formula in for you, which I found a little bit disappointing. Let's keep going. And let's go to our next challenge, which is analyze 2 goal distributions from football data. Okay, I think this is going to be much more up Copilot street, as long as I don't want to build a model for me to use again, as long as I just want some analysis, I just want an output, I just want a bit of an answer. I think Copilot is going to be very good at that. So let's go ahead, locate this file. It's this file here. Bring it into your screenshot. And once again, you can go ahead, view this video, analyze 2 goal distributions. The full tutorial link is in the video description below. And when you look at the tutorial, you'll be able to download the download file. If you want to download the download file and work along with me, you're very welcome to do that. I think it's about a 15-minute video. You'll see me do a full analysis, and I will go ahead today. I'll do some analysis probably, but you want to really see what Copilot can do, don't you? So I won't do a whole analysis, but let me just explain quickly what this is all about. Bart tuning in. How are you, Bart? Always good to see you. So what's the whole idea here? Well, the idea is you've got two data sets here, and the message I was really trying to get across in this video is data sets can kind of look the same. So by two data sets, I mean these two columns. So we've got one data set in column C and one data set in column D here. So you can just, as I said, you can go and download the download file. You can follow the link. The link's in the video description below. We've got two data sets that at first glance look pretty similar. And if you just do a very basic analysis, these data sets are going to look exactly the same. So if you go ahead, put an average formula in, it's going to give you the mean average for these two data sets, and those averages are very close. So if you just did that level of analysis, it might lead you to conclude that, well, these data sets are basically the same. Now, of course, that's not the case. These data sets are fundamentally different because the data is distributed differently, and data with two different distributions. So you could have data very bunched up and the average would be here. You could have data that's very spread out and the average, the mean average, would also be here, but the distribution of the data is very different. So data sets that are substantially different, fundamentally different, they can have the same mean average. So the point is really that it can be dangerous to just use a mean average in your analysis. So I'm interested if we can get something out of Copilot here, and if Copilot picks up on that and maybe picks up on other points too. So could you analyze the data set in column C and the data in column D? I am interested in the similarities, differences between these data sets. Fair question. What do you think? And is this the way you interact with AI tools yourself? I tend to be, as I said, quite polite, try to be quite articulate. You know, you don't have to be, do you? Right, let's see what Copilot says. Jim says, yeah. As someone who doesn't use formula much, it would be nice to use Copilot for the correct syntax. Absolutely, Jim. Yeah, get the correct syntax. We do have various tools to help us in Excel anyway that would help you towards the correct syntax. But yeah, Copilot, yeah, it does give you more direct support. Right, so Copilot says a comparison between the two data sets in columns C and D will be performed. This will include calculating summary statistics such as mean, median, and standard deviation, as well as visualizing the distributions. That sounds very useful. The similarities and differences will be highlighted based on these analyses. Any missing or non-numeric values will be handled appropriately. Good. The summary statistics for both seasons have been calculated to further analyze. Okay. Right. I mean, that's very nice. It's given us a bit of a report. And okay, it's done something in Python. It's created some code in Python to do it. Okay. Insert a new sheet. Yeah, this is what happens. It kind of creates some analysis, but it won't put it into the file without you prompting it, without you asking it to put it in. So the analysis is in here. Yeah, we can see now the differences between the data set. Yeah, the mean is about the same as discussed. The median is different, but you can see when we bring the standard deviation in, you can see the standard deviation is significantly higher in data set 2, which doesn't really come across. Well, perhaps you spotted that, you know, the first item in the data is a very high value. Perhaps you intuitively spotted that. I certainly didn't. You know, I did this video a few years ago, so shows you how important good analysis is, whether you're doing it yourself or via some kind of AI tool. Standard deviation, very different. And then the range is significantly more in the second data set too. So that I find insightful. That was fairly easy to get. Okay, so Copilot has also done a histogram here. Nice, okay. So season 1, season 2. Yeah, not the most intuitive chart to understand in terms of the presentation of the chart. I think you really need 2 bars per column, if that makes sense. But I see where it's going. It's clear around here that the distributions are different. But yeah, a bit disappointed with that visual overall because it's not super easy. I think if I hadn't known what the distributions are beforehand, I would have found that difficult to interpret that chart. Okay, this is what I really wanted with, which is a text-based summary. Both seasons have similar average, but season 2 has more variation and high maximum. Exactly. The histogram shows that while both seasons have gains with 0 goals, season 2 has more gains with very high goal counts, making its results more spread out. The median is slightly higher of season 1, but season 2 has more extreme results. This means that while the typical game in both seasons is similar, season 2 had more gains with unusually high numbers of goals. Good. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was expecting. And I like the way it gives you a basic text summary here. So it doesn't just give you a table and a chart, which are definitely important elements of analysis, aren't they? But to actually interpret it in English or in your native language, Copilot must be available in other languages too. Yeah, I find that, reasonably impressive. And it's pretty much what I would have done, but my visual is going to look better than this. And I'm going to show you how I would put my visual together now. So what do you think, guys? Do you think this is a win for Copilot? Do you think this is a win for me? Well, I'm going to go ahead and show you a better visual in a second. I'm going to put it together. What do you think? Remember, you can put your comments in the chat. Very happy to deal with your questions today. We're going to deal with some questions that I've had people send in for the Excel Help Desk in addition to our AI tasks. You can join me live in the stream too. So there's a link in the video description below. And you can go ahead, join us live in the studio as people did in the October edition, in the August edition rather, of the Excel Help Desk last month. So let's create a visual that's better than this one. Now, this is a really important technique because here we've got what you'd call, well, is this data continuous or discrete? 2 statistical words there. Discrete data is one of a set number of values. So discrete data, text data, for example, is always discrete, A, B, or C, people's names, things like that. Continuous data is one of a range of numbers. Now, this is somewhere in between. If this was continuous data, if you had 5.254, 2.153, 0.746, that would be continuous because those numbers are all just picked out of a range. But we've actually got a limited number of options here because we've got 1 to 12. We know from the analysis that Copilot provided, we've got 1 to 12 here. So should you use a tool for discrete data or for continuous data? We can get away with using a tool for discrete data here, which I'm a little bit relieved about because it's a lot easier. But if you had continuous data here, you'd want to put your data into bins, And to do that, I would use the frequency formula. So if you just put into YouTube Tiger Excel frequency formula, it's one of my Excel secret weapons, an incredibly powerful tool for analyzing continuous data. You can go ahead and check that out. Right, let's see what people are saying about Copilot. Bart, how are you doing? Bart saying, not really a Copilot fan. The things I tried was always gave me a result I didn't like. Chat GPT is something useful, but still, for me, it's kind of more of Google update, and you still need to think for yourself. Yeah, I think that's, broadly speaking, that's the experience I'm having today. Copilot is more a pointing in the right direction for me and not the solution. Yeah. Another thing to mention here is because Copilot isn't putting the solutions in for me. So for example, it wouldn't put the formula in, it wouldn't put the drop-down menu in. What we're creating are single-use solutions. They're single analyses. Now, this is an important point because all the tools we create, or if you want to create a spreadsheet that's powerful, it's got to be reusable. So if we want to put another data set in, say in the football context, we want to put next season's football data in, that single-use analysis that we've got wouldn't be useful anymore, obviously, because the data's changed. So rather than just creating a single analysis, what we try to do as a company is create a tool that you can drop data in, and you can drop this season's data, next season's data. It has this dynamic quality. So whatever data you drop in, our tool is able to create the analysis you need. Now, I was hoping Copilot would do that. Copilot is much more oriented around providing that single solution rather than providing a tool that you can use many times. And this is why, as I said at the beginning, we're still going to need data professionals, guys. We're still going to need professionals to actually build those tools. And I've found this in different ways in our consulting work as well. Copilot and AI tools are very good for getting single solutions, single piece of code. But if you've got any degree of complexity in a situation, which in any situation involving humans, you're basically going to have, AI tools are really quite limited. When you're thinking more at a process level, we've got a business process that we want to speed up, that we want to automate. Copilot is going to help you with bits of that. Copilot or ChatGPT, they'll be able to give you ideas, but they're not going to be able to implement the whole thing. Certainly not yet. I don't think ever they're going to be able to effectively implement the whole thing in a way that's effective, gets the job done, but is also flexible to different inputs. So we've got some great analysis, but there's zero flexibility to new inputs coming in. And in a way that's kind of sustainable over the long term, can respond to different business circumstances. I think you really need a human to put that all together for somebody. I don't think a company would want to keep going back to an AI tool when their requirements have changed slightly, you see. So that's why I think AI, for me, has been a bit of a tool. It's been a bit of a weapon for me, and it makes me more confident, not less confident. Who knows? These comments might not age well. It makes me more not more confident, not less confident about, this kind of work and the need for this kind of work in the economy. Right, I'm going to talk more about that as we go. Let's go ahead and do a nicer visual. Right. Just to reconfirm, I'm going to find the minimum and the maximum for these data sets. Okay, the minimum is 0. Let's go and get not the max. Let's go and get the max with an N. There we go. We've got the minimums and maximums here. And we can go ahead, Control R, and just copy those across and confirm. Yeah. So if we go from 0 to 12, we're going to cover all eventualities here. Some unnecessary merge cells here. So we're going to go ahead and unmerge those. So if I do 1 to 12 here, let's use a sexy new Excel formula to do this. If I just say sequence 12, oh, okay. What have I done there then? 12 rows. I thought that would give me a sequence of numbers starting at 1. Sequence 12. Do I have to fill in the others? 1. Oh, okay. Not sure what I've done wrong there with the old sequence formula. But anyway, I will do what I always do, which is I use the row formula to do this kind of thing. So if I say row minus 15, unmerge this cell. Why did I have merged cells in a spreadsheet? I hate merged cells. But anyway, let's see. There we go. So we've got 1 to 12 here. Now, what's the formula? The best simple formula for data analysis is, certainly if you're using discrete data, is COUNTIF. So if we go to the range here, and then we're just very careful about our references here. So I would want here, I would want to fix the row, but not the column, because I want to just copy this formula across and refer to the next data set. So COUNTIF and then comma, and then count the number of ones here. There we go, Control D. So a good way to confirm that COUNTIF is working, you can just add these up. So Alt and plus at the bottom gives me 305. Have we got 305 games? Got 360 games. So it doesn't seem to be accurate. So what's happened there? $305. Okay. I didn't put zeros in. Come on. Right. So we go row minus 16. That's going to give us the 0. And Control D. Then take this down. Control D. Okay. And now I can see at the bottom of Excel, yeah, there. Yes, we've got 360 there. So that's why got to check your formulae. When you build a formula, got to go ahead and check it. Go ahead and check it. I'm going to do a quick test here. Would Copilot spot that? Is there a problem with the COUNTIF formulae I've put in? Bit of a vague and ambiguous question as well, isn't it? But let's see. Let's see how Copilot does. Is there a problem with the COUNTIF formula I've put in? There's no problem with the COUNTIF formulas as written. The formula correctly counts how many times the value in K18 appears. It will work as intended. Okay, maybe a bit of a trick question, but I've clearly missed out one of the values here. So yeah, I would have liked Copilot to pick up on that and to understand that not all the values in the data set are being included in that analysis because we missed out one of the numbers there. Okay, so 360. Yep, this looks good. So this is for column C. So if we go Control R here, because we've got the partial absolute references in, you can see we've just got a single $sign here before the number. So that's going to fix the row and not the column. So if I go Control R here, that's not right, is it? No, that's definitely not how to do it. Okay, yeah, I need another reference in here. So if we fix these as well, and that should do it. In fact, we could just do a full absolute reference here, couldn't we? There we go. Okay, Control D. So I'm not expecting these to change. Can't do a full absolute reference, can we? Come on, come on. So now we need a partial absolute reference. We want to fix the column, not the row here. So you can see we've got the $sign to the left of the letter. That's going to fix the column, not the row. And Control D here. And then Control R, autofill right. And this is what we're looking for. Yep. So sum 720, that looks good. Sum 360 there. This looks good. Okay. That's how to do the analysis using the COUNTIF formula. Now, clearly, Copilot is faster than me. Clearly, Copilot is faster than me. But as I said, if you want anything more than a kind of single-use analysis, you're going to need some kind of understanding of what's going on. If you want to build a tool so you can redo this analysis many times, Copilot doesn't want to do that for you because Copilot doesn't want to make changes to the spreadsheet. So yeah, you're going to be slower, but at times you're going to have to go ahead and do that. And just very quickly, I'm going to go ahead and see if I select this and visualize the data. Let's see how we do. Not getting on well with the new Dell XPS 16 touchpad at the moment, I've got to say. That's why I keep accidentally clicking on stuff. But anyway, insert. Let's go for, I would go for a nice, let's go for a bar chart here. This is the difference between a bar chart and a column chart. Of course, a column chart, a vertical, a bar chart, horizontal here. Okay, it's given me 3 series, which is not what I'm looking for here. So let's go to select data. Let me just delete series 1. Is that going to work? There we go. Okay, something like that. Something like that, I think, is a much better visualization Okay, let's just get these actually pointing to the that's annoying. Okay, gonna have to move the chart. Okay, so what we want to do is with these labels, we of course want to select this range here. There we go. Okay, and I think this is already a better visualization. I just want to reverse the categories. There's an option somewhere to reverse these categories in reverse order? Love that. Okay, so now we're going from 0 to 12. I think we're just getting a better sense of what's going on here. Might be better in a vertical orientation rather than the horizontal orientation. Might be better as a column chart than as a bar chart. But for me, this is easier to interpret than what Copilot gave us. This looks like something from a, this is generated in Python, is it? It looks like something from like a GCSE maths textbook or my master's statistics textbook. And I did fail the statistics module, so don't have great memories there. But anyway, so what do you think? So let's go back to our task. What are we trying to do here? So goal distribution, we're trying to analyze two goal distributions. You let me know. Let me know in the chat, what do you think? Do you think that's a win for the Excel guy, or is that a win for Copilot? Let me know. Very good. Right, guys, put your comments in the chat as always, and you can join me live in the stream. Of course, the link is in the video description below. We did have somebody waiting in the studio, but this person has disappeared. So if you want to come back into the studio, very happy to add you into the stream and you can have a chat. Let's take a quick departure, actually. Let's take a quick departure from our Excel guy versus Copilot challenge, and let's go into a question from Stella. So as always, you can send in questions for the Excel Help Desk. We had Excel Help Desk in August. This is the September version edition, and we'll be doing the Excel Help Desk in October too. So keep an eye on the channel. Best if you're subscribed to the channel, you'll get the notifications. Get on our mailing list as well. So below most of our videos, there's a link, usually that gives you a nice PDF or something that gets you onto our mailing list. And Instagram as well. You follow Target Spreadsheet Solutions on Instagram. These are all ways that you can get questions to me. And Stella, long-term supporter of the channel. And his question is, let's say I want to build a simple reminder system to help me pay my bills or debt. What kind of formula would you recommend using for that? Great question. Very interesting question. Let me know in the chat if you were consulting to Stella. What would you be saying to Stella here in answer to this question? I think the really interesting thing for me in this question, the one thing that flashed up, set a few alarm bells ringing, I suppose, is the idea of a reminder, a simple reminder system. So in this case, what we're looking for is a process that's triggered based on time. Yeah, we want to trigger it every day, every week, every month. VBA is not going to be good at doing that. That kind of thing is probably possible with VBA. You would have some kind of really complicated code that's really beyond what I'm interested in that would allow you to do that. And I have seen people talking about this kind of thing online, but I wouldn't recommend you using VBA. I don't think formulae are going to help with this kind of thing. The tool I would recommend for this would be Power Automate. Power Automate. Okay, so most companies will have access to Power Automate. It's in Microsoft Office. What does Power Automate do? Broadly speaking, it allows you to automate processes on SharePoint and OneDrive. For example, I've been working on a Power Automate process this afternoon, and this process automates timesheet submission. So this company is a big company that provides essentially air conditioning systems, although many other things as well. but essentially air conditioning systems, and they send their engineers out. These engineers are contractors, and they need to submit their hours. So using Power Automate and Microsoft Forms and Office Script and Excel all together, we've created a system. So there's a really nice interface for those contractors to submit their hours. When those hours are submitted, a process, what's called a flow is triggered in Power Automate, and that does lots of cool stuff. So it adds the information to a central data set in Excel. It sends an email out to the technician saying that we've got your hours. It does some analysis, calculating what the pay should be. Anyway, that's just an example of the power of Power Automate. But Power Automate is good for this kind of thing because it's very easy to trigger flows in terms of time. So we can't easily do this with VBA. With Power Automate, you've got options. You can have a flow. I want it to run every day at 3 o'clock. No problem. You've got a flow. We want it to run every Thursday. We have another flow for that customer that runs every Thursday. I want to run it every night at 3 o'clock. For the same customer, we have a flow that moves data from 5 files into 1 file. And sometimes it takes 30 to 45 minutes. It takes a while on SharePoint. Sometimes it moves 100,000 rows or more. And we do that overnight. We do that overnight because SharePoint's less busy and it's just an easier time to do it. The point is, you can schedule stuff. So my recommendation for this, Stella, would be to have a look at Power Automate. And we do, of course, have our beginner Power Automate video available. So if you just go on YouTube and search Power Automate for beginners, you will see our video. And it's highly recommended. I mean, once again, just like with Copilot, I think you're going to have to pay for Power Automate, but it's probably a good investment. And perhaps you can use your organization one. A lot of organizations will have access to Power Automate, and plenty of organizations have access to it and are not using it, which is a big loss for those organizations because we can automate so much stuff. So many people spend their days just like moving stuff around spreadsheets, don't they? And it becomes like, what's your job? People are like, oh, I just move stuff around spreadsheets all the time. That's not my job at all, by the way. But people just kind of accept it, don't they, eventually? And it's like, it becomes what they're doing most of the time, moving stuff around Excel. All of this you can automate, guys. It can all be automated. It can free you up and get you doing what your job actually is, not having to move stuff around Excel all the time. You can reconnect with the purpose of your job if you can use these tools properly. Excel VBA being one, Power Automate, Office Script, SharePoint tools, info@targetsolutions.co.uk. Send us an email if your company, your organization is interested in this kind of automation. We've saved companies millions over the years with this kind of automation. Right, so we'll get back into our Excel guide versus AI challenge in just a second. So Michelle says, I wish I could change my vote now. Very interesting, Michelle. How did you originally vote? And how are you changing your vote? Did you originally vote for me? And you're like, no, I'm going for Copilot now. Or did you originally vote for Copilot? You're thinking, actually, I'm going to go for Chris now. So let me know. Okay, and Bart, in answer to the scheduling question from Stella, I think if date is equals date, then give a text on top of the cell and maybe format with color, green or red. Yeah, absolutely. If we're just talking about a data set that has dates in and you want certain dates to be flagged up, you could use a date formula to help you there, but you could use conditional formatting. Conditional formatting, you can say in your conditional formatting rule, highlight cells that, for example, where the date is coming up. So where the date is within the next week or the next month, where the date is within 3 days, you can do the conditional formatting for that. So yeah, in that sense, formally could help you. I did say at the beginning of my explanation, formally wouldn't help you, but in that sense, formally actually would. Right, G35B says, there's cron job for Linux, but Windows uses a heuristic service so you can run stuff at a certain time, but not sure how to do it using Excel. So there may be some native service in Windows. I have heard people online talking about something similar to this. I'd still recommend Power Automate though, probably, but Windows may have some kind of native function Oh, there we go. Michelle said, I voted for Copilot, but now you want to change your vote. To me, appreciate that, Michelle. And that's why we're here, guys. I'm here to learn more about Copilot. And there's a lot of hype, isn't there? And I think when you see some of the stuff already we've done with Copilot, some of the hype is justified. Absolutely. Getting that quick analysis, getting that quick visualization. The thing I was most impressed with so far was that text report, the text summary report. Wasn't expecting that. I thought that was excellent. So in some senses, the hype is justified. Is it going to transform everything? Not sure. I'm not sure about that. We can see, because it won't make a tool for me, if it would actually change the spreadsheet, put the formula in the spreadsheet so that I could just drop another data set in, then I'd be really interested. Then I'd be feeling a little bit vulnerable as well in terms of what we're doing with our company here. But anyway, that's just my opinion. And the important thing is you try yourself, get informed, have a conversation with your AI tool about it, but also get in Excel and try to do some stuff. That's when you really learn, of course, when you're actually doing it yourself, working on your own skills. Hi to Khalil. How are you doing, my friend? Let me know if you have any questions for the Excel Help Desk. Right. Moving on. Let's go to our third task here. Now, I have a suspicion this is going to be one for the Excel guy. Let's see. So our next task, a big deal in Excel, is making your spreadsheet look good. And as with all these tasks, the full tutorial link is in the video description. This is one of our most popular videos of recent years, 14 Excel formatting tips, make Excel beautiful. There's a sequel to this video, 14 more Excel formatting tips. And we've got a 7 to 8 video playlist that is going to turn you into an Excel formatting expert. Absolutely, though, as I explained in the series, you can't really have an expert on Excel formatting because it's also, a lot of it is subjective, what looks good in Excel, but there are certain things you can follow and you need your own distinctive style. This is what I recommend, developing your own distinctive style in Excel. And this is what I talk about in those videos. So let's get into this download file. So you can follow the link in the video description below. That will take you to the video, and the video will take you to this download file. Rather, below the video, you'll have a link to the download file, and the download file looks something like this. So the whole premise of the video, if you like, is a lot of spreadsheets look like this, and we'd much rather the spreadsheet looks like this. So this is how I like to format my spreadsheets. There's a few themes, a few tips and tricks here that you'll know about if you've seen some of the videos I've talked about. We've got our one color formatting scheme here. Yes, the best spreadsheets only have one color. That might be an exaggeration, but the best spreadsheets only have a few colors. Just take single color. Here I've taken green, and then we have dark color with white text. So dark green with white text. And then we've got light color with black text. In this case, we've got light green with black text. And then we've also got our borders, but we're not using all of the borders. Which borders are we using? You can see we've only got the horizontal borders here. So they're just two things, guys. And if you go to the download file, you can see all of the tips here. And as I said, you can go and watch the video yourself. So I'm interested, will Copilot be able to make a spreadsheet look good? Because there's so many spreadsheets out there that do useful things, but people won't engage with them. Okay. So would you be able, I'm getting more and more polite with Copilot because I feel like I'm like pushing Copilot. Copilot keeps saying, I'm not going to do that. And I keep saying, can I ask you one more time to do that? Because I don't think Copilot is going to make changes to our spreadsheet. Would you be able to format this sheet so it looks better? Come on, Copilot, let's go. What you got for us? Let's see. And what do we think? What do we think? Remember, guys, get your questions in the comments. You can join me live in the stream. The link is in the video description below. So Copilot says, I wasn't able to format the sheet at this time. You can try refreshing your Excel window or check if the file is open and editable. If you need tips on how to make your sheet look better, I can provide suggestions such as adjusting column widths, applying bold headers, or using alternating row colors. Let me know how you'd like to proceed. Okay, could you give me some ideas? Okay. Let's see how we're doing in the comments just while Copilot is finishing up there. Okay, and in the comments, G35B says, I voted for Chris. His answers are way more nuanced. His answers are way more nuanced than Copilot. Interesting point. Thank you, G35. Khalil says, are there any other VBA tutorials after 30 for 30? Yes, Khalil, you're in the right place. Firstly, thank you for watching the 30 for 30 series. There's a follow-up series, which is called 30 real-world VBA tasks, something like that, Khalil. 30 real-world VBA tasks is exactly the same idea. It's 30-minute sessions, but it's not a kind of progressive course like the one you've already taken. It's 30 real-world jobs that I do in VBA. So put it into Tiger Spreadsheets, put it into YouTube rather, Tiger Spreadsheet Solutions, 30 real-world VBA tasks. It's done in live stream format. And if you can't find it, Khalil, leave a comment below one of the videos and say it's Khalil from the live stream, and I will link you to it. If that doesn't work, send us an email, info@tigersolutions.co.uk. I will send you the link because it's a really good series. It's one of those series that I think is so good. It's so good for people like you, Khalil, I would imagine, who know a bit of VBA and now you want to learn to apply it. You want to have some tasks. You want some examples of how to do those real world tasks. Well, I took 30 jobs that I do every day in my VBA work, and we went through them in 30 live sessions. That's what the series is. Right, so back to Copilot. We're talking about formatting, and I've asked Copilot, could you give me some formatting ideas? Copilot says, okay, exclamation mark. I always think that these are AI tools. Do they mimic your style in order to get on better with you? So Copilot's got a bit excited with this exclamation mark. I'm not quite sure if I'm ready for that, but I find when I talk to Gemini that Gemini responds a bit like I would respond in terms of the tone. So is there any truth in that? And I don't know. There probably is. Anyway, okay, here are some conditional formatting suggestions. On start. Okay, so it's suggested conditional formatting. Now, for me, that's not the first thing we should be thinking about when we're talking about formatting. So highlight cells in first name when surname cells start with H. I'm just going to say yes. Now, are you going to do it for me, Copilot? Or are you going to give me instructions to do it? Okay. Font color black. Okay. If I click apply here. Oh, well done. Okay. Well done, Copilot. Yes. So good. So Copilot did make the changes to the spreadsheet there. Okay. Thank you. Let's say bold the first column. So I've asked Copilot to bold the first column, and I'm going to say apply. Nice. Okay. I mean, it's not particularly fast, is it? But you could work through. Hang on. I've just accidentally clicked on feedback, I think. Hang on. Go away, go away, go away. No, don't contact me. Cancel that. Okay. Accidentally press some kind of feedback button there. Okay. Bold the first column. That's done. Yeah. So what surprised me about that is Copilot did make changes to the spreadsheet. Copilot did make changes to the file. But is it particularly impressive? Not really. Let's see if I can highlight another idea. Highlight duplicate cells in the first name. Excuse me. So I'm asking Copilot to highlight duplicate cells, duplicate values, apply the following to the cells in the column first name. Okay, I'm going to say apply. Okay, good. Now I'm going to go into the conditional formatting rules manager. Going to go to manage rules and has. Okay, so we can see in the conditional formatting rules manager, that rule has been created. Duplicate values. That's not something I've used before. So in conditional formatting, you can just say highlight duplicate values. That's quite useful. And okay, so what do you think? Are you impressed with that? I'm not hugely impressed. I'm just going to undo these, and I'm going to go ahead and do what I've done a few times on the channel. I'm going to go ahead and just quickly format this spreadsheet. Yep. So you can time, okay, it's 59. Okay, so we're coming up to 1 hour. So let's go from 1 hour and let's see how long it takes me to make the spreadsheet look half good. I'm not going to talk through this, guys. So you can go to the video. The link is in the video description below. If you like the look, that we have here at Tiger on our spreadsheets, we've got a whole video series about how to get it. And yeah, there's some subjectivity about what's good in Excel, but there's definitely a few things. There's a checklist you can work through, and our latest video released on the channel is about literally a formatting checklist. You get a free PDF with it, formatting checklist, just kind of easy things you can do, just quick wins for you to get your spreadsheets just looking better. So as you can see, the way I'm doing this, I don't really think about it at all. So I'm thinking a little bit now because that's not fitting in the cell properly. Okay, that looks good. Think about column widths now, 20. There we go. Okay, column width's consistent. How to do this? Here's a little trick for you. So to quickly get alternate row formatting, I'm going to format as a table, choose a simple format there, and then I'm going to convert it back to a range in the table header here. Well, usually you have an option to convert it back to a range, don't you? Table design, summarize, convert to range. Yes, convert it back to a range. Now, when you create a table, it automatically changes the column width. Something I've never understood, but it's very annoying. So I've got to get these consistent again. There we go. Okay, then we're going to think about color. So 2-color color scheme. Let's go for this deep purple. Smoke on the water, anybody? There we go. And there we go. Let's go for Arial at the top as well. Now, Alt-H-M-A. Now for a column, for a sheet header, I tend to use a faded fill. Might look a bit dated these days, I'm not sure, but yeah, I still like it. So let's go for it. Should we just say grey to white like that? Anyway, might look rubbish, but just like a little faded fill on there. And maybe we just use that one color that we're using. Alt-H-O-E, and I'm just going to put that color again on the bottom here with a slightly thicker border. Okay. There we go. Something like that. Right, do you think that spreadsheet looks decent? I think it certainly looks a lot better. And yeah, once again, took me longer than Copilot. Well, actually, Copilot didn't do it at all. Why, this is what I don't quite get, why Copilot can go off and learn how to do those analyses and do stuff in Python and even create a simple visualization that we saw. Why can it not go off and learn how to do a simple bit of spreadsheet formatting and then suggest a formatting? You know, it would be really simple to say, okay, I can't do formatting, but you could format as a table and use one of the pre-configured formats that you get in Excel tables, you know, which are all pretty good, you know, which all do the job. So anyway, forgot to switch grid lines off here. And this is pretty much how I would, yeah, format a spreadsheet. I think it's a good balance between readability and having some color, not too much color, you know, using some features, not too many features, put freeze panes on here. There we go. And this, yeah, I mean, I formatted a spreadsheet this afternoon. I was actually formatting a spreadsheet this afternoon on Excel Online. Is that something you're interested in? On Excel Online, some of the shortcuts are the same. Some are very different. There's some key differences that can be annoying, but I'm trying to get much more used to working on Excel Online. Okay. Very good. Yeah, so Bart has put a link in the chat. So for Khalil, who was looking for other VBA tutorials after 30 for 30, Bart has put a link in the chat. Yeah, so this isn't actually what I was talking about, Bart, but it's still useful. It's still useful. So I think we have 3 series, which are VBA real world examples, VBA real world examples, where I've taken one of our projects and I've actually worked through it in VBA over the course of, between 3 and 7 videos, something like that. So once again, Khalil, just get on the YouTube search, Tiger Spreadsheet Solutions, Excel VBA real examples. You'll be able to find all these gems. Henrik, how you doing? Good to see you, my friend. Always appreciate the support, the likes on LinkedIn and stuff. So thank you. Get your questions in, Henrik. And yeah, we've got about 20 minutes left, guys. So we're definitely taking questions. We'll do one more task, I think, with Copilot. And then you can join me in the chat. You can join me in the stream, rather. The link is in the video description below. And Khalil, so Khalil says, can Copilot help create VBA code for me? Shall we see, Khalil? Shall we see? Surely it does create VBA code for us. Okay, let's ask Copilot. Copilot, where you gone, bud? And chat with Copilot. Good. Can you generate VBA code? Straight down to business. Direct question. Can you generate VBA code? What I'm interested in is, please let me know the specific task or formatting you want automated with VBA. Okay, so could you create VBA code to format a spreadsheet similar to how I've formatted this one? What do you think? Now that would be a tricky question because, as you might know, as we all know, as I know, VBA code for formatting cells is very verbose. It's quite complicated. I am unable to generate VBA code, but Copilot, you just said I can generate VBA code. Look, we've got it on the screen there, a direct contradiction here. I am unable to generate VBA code. However, I can help you design formatting rules, highlight specific rules, or suggest ways to visually improve your spreadsheet using Python-based analysis and recommendations. If you'd like to apply specific formats. Okay, what am I missing with Python? So what is Python getting us that the inbuilt tools to Excel won't get us? What's the additional value that Python's adding? Or is it just a case of preference? Is it because I know a lot of school students, for example, these days, they learn Python. So is the point of having the Python option in Excel just that there's a lot of people who already know Python, so we want to introduce it? Or is it doing something that I can't do as I just did, create an analysis and create a chart? Is it doing something that VBA can't do? What am I missing? What am I missing with Pilot? Pilot's one of the many things that's been added to Excel in the past 5 years or so, where when it came out, there's many creators on YouTube saying this is going to change everything. Dynamic array formulae being another one. The Copilot formula being another one. The fundamentals of Excel practice have not changed. I've been doing this coming up to 15 years, and the fundamentals have not changed. Managers, professionals are essentially dealing with the same problems. So just be aware, guys. Just be aware when people say this changes everything. That's a great way to try to get some views. So just, I'd say, adopt a critical mindset, because the fundamentals of Excel practice aren't going to change much. And I would say from this session, even with Copilot, I don't think the fundamentals are going to change a huge amount. And look out for videos about the Copilot formula. Yes, a Copilot formula is coming out in Excel. I've done, as always, I do a bit of research about the new formulae, and I generally go into it with an open mind. The examples I've seen are not particularly impressive. So for example, if you wanted a list, I think this is one of the examples they give actually, if you wanted a list of cities in the UK, yeah, it's a bit time consuming to have to go online. And having said that, I think you could do it in 30 seconds with a Google search. But the Copilot formula, you can type the question into the formula and it will go and do that for you and give you a list of UK cities. So the Copilot formula is coming. Your favorite creators, YouTube creators, the people who are better creators than me anyway, they're better at generating views than me. They're doing all the videos at the moment. Copilot, this changes everything. Put it into YouTube. Come back here in 3 years' time. We'll have another Excel help desk. Let's see if it's changed everything. As I said, I'm happy to eat my words. But I've heard so many times over the years with VBA as well, people saying, oh, VBA is going. It's going to change everything. No, VBA is still here, guys. What's the best automation tool in Excel? The best way to save you, your company, your team, huge amounts of time and money is with VBA. And you might say, well, Chris, everything's happening online these days. Yeah, we've got the SharePoint tools. We've been talking about Power Automate, which is a SharePoint tool, of course. It's not as powerful, as quick, as slick as Excel VBA. You might say Office scripts. Well, we've got Office script now. Office script, the scope of Office script is a single spreadsheet, a single file. So if you want to move data between files, you've got to combine Office script with Power Automate. That's incredibly technical. Your average professional can't do that. So if you want to automate a process, if you can work on desktop, the best way to do it is with VBA. And I used to pursue this point of view, hold this point of view in kind of a hesitant way because I hadn't fully explored the online tools, your Power Automates, your Office scripts. I've now fully explored those. We have been working on projects for 2 or 3 years with companies only using Power Automate, only using Office scripts, and VBA is the most powerful one. And 10 years ago, people were saying VBA is going, guys. Not the case. Don't be taken in by the hype. Don't be taken in by the hype. I don't think Copilot changes everything. I don't think the Copilot formula is going to change everything. And if it does, come back to the Excel help desk in 3 years' time. I'll still be here talking about Excel. Will you still be here? Come back here and you can tell me I'm wrong. Thank you. Right. That concludes the lecture. Jim said, looks good. I've watched your videos on spreadsheet formatting and it really helped. Thank you, Jim. It's worth mentioning. It's just an often ignored area of Excel practice, formatting. I know many great technicians in Excel. I know many technicians in Excel who are better technically than me. I'm not a great technician. You've seen that this afternoon, but I know very few people who can quickly and efficiently make an Excel spreadsheet look good. I know very few people who have their own style, their own formatting style, so that people look at a spreadsheet and they say, oh, she must have created that spreadsheet because it's got a distinctive style. Yeah. People can only appreciate technical merit if they feel compelled to engage with the spreadsheet. That's why the appearance of your spreadsheet is just as important as its technical method. So great to hear, Jim. Great to hear you've been watching our Excel formatting videos. Good. And Henrik says he's fine. Fantastic. Good. Okay. So get your questions in the chat, guys. Links in the video description below if you want to join me in the chat. Let's go ahead and do one more Copilot job here. And let's go for finding bets. Okay. So this one, find profitable bets with football data. And as always, the full tutorial link is in the video description. This is one of our most popular videos on the channel. It's almost got 1 million views. It's almost got 1 million views, this video. So it is recommended. And you can go ahead and watch it. You can go ahead and download the download file. And you can go ahead and try this yourself. And if you have Copilot, you can try it with Copilot, of course. Sorry, I keep accidentally clicking things. Right, let's go here. So we've got a data set. Yeah, obviously a simulated data set. The Doggy Football League doesn't actually exist. And, fans of the channel will know we've done a lot of work with a company called FTS Income, Ian Erskine. So I've developed a bit of knowledge. I know a little bit about football trading, certainly about how football data is presented. And here we've got the home and away team, home goals and away goals. And we've got the 1x2, 1 being home win, X being draw, 2 being away win. the match day number, the score written out. Then we've got the odds over here. So this is a very common way to approach football trading, kind of retrospective backtesting. I'd call this backtesting. So we've got the results, we've got the outcomes, and we've got the odds. Can we find those little pockets where the odds don't accurately affect the outcomes, and therefore where we'd have an opportunity to make some money in a market? This is the basics. This is the basics of any trading, really, and this is the basics of football trading. So I'll show you how I would do this one first. So one example would be to take a team and say, okay, if the odds of a home win are at a particular level, I'm going to take a bet. And in this case, I've said over 1.54. It could be any number. And in reality, you'd be taking odds categories. So, 1.5 to 1.7, 1.7 to 1.9 could be narrower bounds you're using, could be wider bounds you're using. It really depends on what you're trying to do. And there's an infinite number of ways to make money on these markets anyway, and indeed to lose money. So I'm certainly not recommending you try. Okay, so I would use dsum to do this. So with dsum, we're going to take the headers that are of interest to us. So we're looking at the home team, and we're looking at the home odds. I'm trying to remember how dsum works now. It's been a little while. And then, so let's take Beagle. And then for the odds, we say more than 1.54. And then what's our output column here? Our output column here, is the return home, the home win column. So this column is just doing a simple calculation based on the result. So in this one, the home team must have won because we made money. If the home team loses, it's just going to be -1 because you lose your stake, which is a 1 here. Once again, all these download files are available. You can click in the video link below. That's going to take you to the video about this file, and that will allow you to access the file. You can do your own analysis there. Okay, so we've got this basic setup. These are our column headers that are of interest to us. This is the input for this column header, which is the home column, which is down here. This is the input for the column header that we're interested in here, which is the home odds column. So if we have that, we can then say dsum, this being the database, and the field being, how do we select the field? I think we can use the number, or we can use the, okay. Gonna have to count these, hang on. So we have 18 columns here. Okay. Yeah, it's been a while since I've used dsum, so might be ironic considering this video's got 1 million views or so where I'm talking about dsum. So this is our criteria. So the field is going to be field 18. Sorry, let's go back. The first part is the database. It's asking for the database, so you've got to select the whole data set, including those column headers. The field is the column that you want to sum up, because remember, what we're trying to do in effect is sum up this column where Beagle wins at home, kind of putting a filter on. Then the criteria, well, the criteria are set out here. I bloody hate this keyboard. Criteria are set out here. There we go. Got 11.62 there. Now we can go ahead, put a different team in here. There we go. And then we've got different analysis there. So that's using dsum. Incredibly powerful dsum. We've also got d average, d standard deviation. Very underrated, these database formulae. If I was Microsoft, I just had my little rant, didn't I, about how new things are coming out and everyone says they're going to change the game. They don't really change the game. And dynamic array formulae being one. Back in the day, everyone said VBA was going. It's actually still here. The lambda formula was another. This changes everything. And now the Copilot formula. People saying this changes everything. Rather than Microsoft is obsessing about adding new features to Excel. There's enough in Excel. Have you seen how many icons there are on that toolbar at the top? there's enough in Excel. We don't need new formulae. What we actually need is serious guidance for users to help them use this incredibly technical software in the real world. So what does that mean? Well, Microsoft, give me the money. Give me the money that you're using to develop these new formulae. Here's what I'll do with it. I'll develop a general theory of Excel practice. You're like, what? Nobody can do that. We've already done it. We've already done it on the channel. There's only 4 things people are trying to do in Excel. They're trying to manage data. They're inputting data. They're bringing data sets together. They're cleansing data. They're trying to analyze data, as we've been doing in this stream. They're trying to create models, for example, a budget planner, relationships between cells, or they're trying to automate processes. There's only 4 things people are trying to do in Excel. So rather than more formulae and more tools that aren't really going to change everything, could you develop some amazing training resources around the 4 actual applications of Excel? These are the things that would really help professionals, not more formulae, actually showing professionals the kind of problems they're likely to encounter in Excel and the tools they need for each category. You don't want to do it. Give me the money. I'll do it for you. Right. So dsum. Very good. So let's see if Copilot can analyze this data set. Can you analyze this data set? Specifically, I would like profitable betting strategies. And we've just created a very simplistic betting strategy here by betting on Beagle at home. Odds of above 1.54 has a return of 11.62. So let's give a quite general question with a bit of ambiguity, typical kind of client question you might get. And I'm sure in your job, you have to deal with customers. There's often a lot of confusion and ambiguity. That's our job, isn't it? To provide some clarity. So Copilot says a profitable betting strategy analysis can be performed by examining the returns home win column, good, which is exactly what we just did with our dsum formula, which appears to represent the profit or loss from betting on the home team to win. That's great, you see. So it's gone and it's seen that there's a relationship between 2 of the formulae. Is there actually a formula in this cell? Oh, there is a formula in this cell. So that was quite easy to spot that there is a relationship there, but I'm still impressed that it's picked that up. Strategies can be evaluated by simulating bets on different outcomes and calculating the cumulative returns, which is exactly what we did with the dsum formula. The analysis will focus on identifying any simple strategy yields consistent profits over the data set. The next step is to simulate these strategies and summarize their profitability. I think that's really impressive. It's really summarized exactly what we're trying to do when we're doing this kind of trading analysis. Good. So it's done some analysis. Let's insert this to a sheet. So home win, draw, and away win. Okay, so if you bet on all the home wins, that's the return. If you bet on all the draws and all the away wins, they're the returns. So then that's not particularly impressive. It's got to be a bit more sophisticated than that, but that could be a starting point. Okay. Yep. Done. Added. Can we get deeper results using advanced analysis mode? Come on. That sounds good. Come on then, Copilot. And you let me know in the comments, guys. And I can't actually see the poll that I put in the chat, which shows if people think I'm going to win or Copilot's going to win. So if you are in the chat, let me know, how is that poll looking? And what do you think? Do you think Copilot's got the better of me today? I think in this analysis, it definitely has. But we've certainly discovered some of the pros and cons, haven't we? I can use advanced analysis for that. Here's what I'll do once you start the analysis. Start. Let's go. Okay, we're starting an advanced analysis. Okay. Home win, away win. Yeah. Okay, that's what I inserted. Yeah. It's not much of a strategy though, just betting on all the home, aways, and draws. Okay, I would like something more sophisticated. Sophisticated. What if we considered odds brackets, for example? Brackets for home win. Win, for example. You see, with an advanced analysis, I would expect Copilot to have done that because it's effectively looking at one variable, which is quite a blunt instrument type approach. To provide a more sophisticated analysis, the data would need to include odds information for each home win, which it does. If you have the odds data available, I can break down the home strategy. It always says it uses Python to do this as well. A breakdown of home win returns by different odds brackets cannot be performed with the current data as odds information. I'm going to specify the odds brackets. Okay, I'm still trying to get this bracket analysis. Oh, thanks, Bot. So the poll said 71% for the Excel guy. And Bart says, yes, it's true that the VBA and the basics will always survive. I think the fundamentals, absolutely. I'm not doing very well with this. Please provide the odds data for each home win event. Okay, the odds data is in. The odds data is in column J. The odds data is in column J. Oh, good. Yeah. Oh, very good. Very good. Yes, good. That's impressive. This is a Python. Good. Okay. It's doing something, but I'm not sure it's doing something with Python. Okay, I think we would get somewhere with this. In fact, I know because I had a go with this before, and this is one of the reasons I did this stream, because I was really impressed with the analysis I got from Copilot for this data set. But doing exactly what I did here, clearly I gave better instructions last time, but all I want is I want a heat map. And FTS guys, the football guys, will know what we mean by a heat map with all of the teams down one side and all of the odds brackets across the top. That's the kind of analysis I'd want. But the challenge I set Copilot was I was a little bit vague about that. And I found I Copilot couldn't quite work it out. But with more precise instruction, I know Copilot would be able to do that. The kind of analysis that would take me 10 to 15 minutes probably to create. But of course, if I create it, then I'm going to create it as a tool that we can reuse. So we'll be able to drop the data in and get a different output, so it has a dynamic quality, whereas Copilot doesn't seem to do that. It won't put the formula in and create a tool that we could reuse. Rather, it's just going to very quickly, but it's going to give us a single use analysis. Good. Okay. Right. Who's impressed? Who's impressed with Copilot? And we'll take final questions now, guys. So this is your last chance. Want to put some questions in the chat, even to join me in the stream. The link is in the video description below. You'll come into our studio. It's dead easy to join me in the stream. Just make sure there's no kids around. Make sure you're in a fairly quiet place. You've got decent image, decent audio. Be very happy to have you in the stream. And let's look at our agenda again. So we created a VLOOKUP formula. Well, I was a bit disappointed that Copilot wouldn't put the formula in, but it did create the formula. Very easy to copy paste the formula in. Analyze two goal distributions. What happened there? I can't quite remember. I did a simple analysis. Yes, we did get a basic analysis from Copilot, and it was basically accurate, but the visualization was disappointing. With the analysis formatting, Copilot wouldn't do much. It would make small changes, and it took a lot of kind of chivying along to make those changes. With the advanced analysis, finding profitable bets, yeah, I didn't have a great experience then. with what Copilot was trying to do, but I know Copilot can do this kind of thing. We didn't get on to number 5, which is to simulation to generate realistic sports data. This is something I've done many times over the years. It does take a bit of time, and I'm sure Copilot would be good at that too. Okay. So let's have a few final thoughts then. I can't see any. Let's just do the comments in the chat while we're here. And Jim said, no offense to AI, but I'll keep watching you and your videos. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. And Jim, I think you're looking forward to the next video on moving VBA to move data between files. That is the next video coming to you here on Tiger Spreadsheet Solutions. So next week or the week after, we should have that video out. So if you want to know how to easily automate a process, move data from one file to another, I don't think Copilot is going to do that for you easily. Power Automate isn't going to do it. OfficeScript won't do it because it's limited. The scope is limited to a single file. VBA, good old VBA, is the best way to do that. We should have that video coming out next week or the week after, Jim. So my final thoughts on AI. Does it live up to the hype? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it doesn't yet live up to the hype. Now, for me, if you can give Copilot a very well-defined task, a fairly well-defined task, and you're looking for a single output, you just need a single analysis from Copilot, I think Copilot's good. And you saw that today. When we give Copilot an analysis to do, it does the analysis. What's disappointing is it won't create a tool so that I can do the analysis again. So I can put some different data in and it will do the analysis again, because it doesn't seem to want to put the formulae in the spreadsheet. Rather, it goes to Python, does the analysis, and then gives me the analysis. That's nice, and the speed is impressive. And I was really impressed with some of the interpretation. The visualizations I found disappointing, but the text-based interpretation, right early in the stream, it gave me a text-based summary of the data, 3 bullet points, all very informative and very clear and concise. I was really impressed with all that. But the truth is, this is where I want to get to with this stream. The truth is, guys, in the real world, the kind of projects that we're working on, and I'm talking to managers every day about exactly this kind of thing, are people looking for answers. So what I'm saying to you is Copilot will get you the answer, will get you the solution, will get you a single analysis. Are people looking for answers in organizational life? I've done hundreds of analytical projects now in the past 15 years, from small projects with single individuals to huge projects, cross-functional, people in different countries, in international organizations. I've still never given an answer to somebody. Nobody yet has come to me and said, I've got a problem, I've got these numbers, there's some complex relationship between them. I want you to do a single piece of analysis. I want you to find a single answer. Copilot would be great at that. The truth is, people want tools to help them make sense of what on earth is going on. You know, it's not realistic to expect people to define a problem in really precise terms, because managers are dealing with situations that are constantly moving. There's multiple interacting issues. We can't distill it down to a single problem that we can just plug into Copilot. And this is why I think for data professionals, analytical professionals, whatever you want to call people like me, the future's bright. I think if you can learn to harness AI in your work, and you can see some examples of how you can use AI in Excel, and I will take some things forward from this stream. I will be using AI in Excel to do some things. I use AI extensively with other tools, Power Automate, for example, just to get ideas for how to use Power Automate. Office scripts, I've used AI tools to generate Office scripts. If you can work out the role it plays, and critically, if you can work out what you bring to the table as a human, you're stronger. Yeah, you're stronger as a professional because of AI. So quickly, you know, what do you bring to the table as a human? Well, we just said we can't clearly define problems, so we can just plug them into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will be able to fix organizations. We need humans. We need humans to do that, because situations are so complex. Multiple people, these situations are always moving. There's confusion about what the goals actually are. There's political considerations, cultural considerations, the history of the organizations, all kinds of things to take into account. That's what only you can do In my opinion, that's what only you can do as a human. And if you come as a human who has a pragmatic approach to using your tools available, including AI, that's where I think you are in the best position. So that's how I think it's going to pan out, guys. So as I said, with the Copilot formula is coming up, you'll find lots of videos on YouTube, people saying this is going to change everything. You've got to watch my video about Copilot formula. It's not going to change everything, guys. The fundamentals of Excel practice don't change. AI, I don't think is going to change that. Although, as I said, these words might not age well. We'll see. AI won't change that. Single Excel formulae that Microsoft are developing, they're definitely not going to change that, guys. So don't forget the importance of humans. Don't forget the importance of your contribution in your organization, and you can align yourself with these tools in the right way. Your career, I think, is looking really good as a data or analytical professional. Very good, guys. Can't see any further comments. The Excel Help Desk returns next month, so look out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. You'll get the notifications. Look out for the date next month. We will be live again in October. Get your questions into me, and we will once again reconvene for the Excel Help Desk. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you soon.